YouTube. My name's Natalie, and the video is dark because it's dark. Um, it is like 3 o'clock, 3:27 a.m., and I kind of like woke up out of my sleep, kind of crying a little bit because I was realizing my mother wound and how deeply that wound runs in so many of my family, like the women in my family. A lot of us experience a mother wound. And I didn't really understand the depth of how that mother wound affected me until earlier this year. I would say there was two instances this year with women that were old enough to be my mom, essentially, where I've experienced that pain of a betrayal, and feeling betrayed by these women who I kind of looked up to and maybe even leaned on for some sort of emotional support, and that I've leaned on and I've given them that as well. It it really hurt me in a way that I don't think I was prepared to understand, like why, these relationships that really weren't that impactful hurt so bad. But I realized that a lot of that boils back down to when you experience trauma, a lot of times you try to recreate the trauma and then change the narrative. And what I wasn't understanding was at that time, and at many times of my life, whenever I've had these experiences with women that were older, a lot of times I found it very painful when there was coldness that came from, these other women, or when I was, kind of like used or taken advantage of. It really hurt. And it hurt me in a way that I didn't feel made sense. But as I started to realize, like, the reason why that hurt so bad is because I sought surrogate families. I sought out surrogate mothers. I would even go as far as to say that my father wound also impacted me in, kind of like having this kind of trust in older people. And so whenever I've gravitated towards older people and, kind of expressed and shared my story, when I was later, eventually taken advantage of, it always hurt me so bad because I was like, why would you do that? But it made me realize that although I may have said, oh, it doesn't matter, me and my mom, we don't talk, we don't have a relationship, whatever, I don't care. It did impact me. It did matter because I was looking for a mother elsewhere. I was looking for a mother in some of these women I was making friends with that were like 20 years older than me, 15, 20, 30 years older than me. And times when I would seek that, support or seek for, some sort of nurturing or guidance. And when I wouldn't get that, it kind of like, it stirred something in me. And I was just like, I didn't understand why that hurt so bad or why it bothered me so much. But it's because I was seeking what I could never really get from my mother in other people. I was seeking the things that I never got from my family in other people's families. I remember I've been kind of a part of multiple people's families throughout my life. Like, I've been a part of other people's families because I didn't have my own. And it's not that I didn't have anybody, that I'm not related to anybody, but I didn't have the the closeness, the intimacy, the connection, um, the support, all that. I never really felt connected to my family. And it's like that feeling and that desire and that need never went away. Just because I said, okay, I'm not close to my family or whatever, I don't care, I still found myself seeking that void to be filled through my connections with other people. And that's why I realized, like, when people have a father wound or a daddy issue or whatever you want to call it, you may not necessarily feel that your own particular parent, is going to be the salvation or the thing that you're seeking to fill that void. They may never be able to do so. But that desire and that need for something in your life that fills that role, it still follows you. It follows you in your choices. It impacts your choices. It impacts what you find attractive. It impacts what you keep around you and continue to go back to. It impacts even like your routine and your day-to-day living and the things of that nature. So I have seen how affected I have been by having neglectful parents and unhealthy and toxic family. I see what it's like to have raised myself and see what that has done for me in terms of having and building and maintaining relationships and other choices, important choices in my life that I really have had very many trials and unsuccessful results. And I say all that because it is very hard to have a parent that is alive and breathing, that you know and who knows you, but no zero connection. It's very hard. And it's one of those things that I'm not a jealous person. I don't experience jealousy because I always feel like what's for me is for me. So whenever I've seen, other parents express and boldly love their children, that would trigger me. And the same would trigger me when I see parents abuse and neglect their children as well. I would be triggered. I'll be triggered when I see like people who are children of parents who were really good speak, when they would say, oh my gosh, my mother was the best mother and I love her and I miss her and I wish I can call her because I'm so used to calling her every day, or, so used to talking to her throughout the day and this and the third. And like, I just cannot relate to that. Like, I cannot relate to the people who have had good experiences with their mother. And I wasn't even close to my grandmother. I think I was the only person I was ever close to that was a woman, was my grandmother on my dad's side, my granny. And she and I were very close for a very long time. And it was the only person for a very long time that I thought cared about me. And I was so starved for love and affection and nurturing and support that I feel that I've overlooked a lot of the things that were not too good about our relationship and how unhealthy it actually really was. But I was so starved for love that I didn't even realize that until I was 20, what, 6 years old, and realizing, whoa, this is really not that healthy of a relationship. I have spent so many years, so much time in unhealthy connections that I didn't even realize were unhealthy because of how emotionally starved and how starved for love and affection that I was, that I overlooked a lot of the bad things. And I realized that I would do the same with my parents. When I was younger, I used to look at my parents and the things that they would say and the things that they would do that was really bad and toxic. I overlooked those things to maintain a relationship with them. So then when I got older, I would overlook red flags. I would overlook the things that really weren't healthy, like things that were literally glaring in my face that I was like, oh, that's kind of bad. I had trained myself to kind of accept things that really wasn't that good to maintain the relationship. And so I got really good at being friends with people who I shouldn't have been friends with. I got really good at keeping people in my life that really shouldn't have been in my life. I didn't realize how badly I was affected by that until earlier this year. So for so many years, that was my pattern because I was hurt. And I didn't realize how badly I was hurt because I could turn off my emotions towards my mother. But I could not understand that that wound was following me and it impacted the kind of relationships I was interested in holding, maintaining, forming, and being a part of. I made a lot of bad mistakes in just trusting sometimes just women just because they were a woman. I literally would just trust a woman because she was a woman and she was older, and I just assumed, oh wow, I'm just gonna trust you. You're a mother, you're this and you're that. I believe you, to the point where I've been led down so many bad paths. I literally was fucking taken advantage of many fucking times because I just blindly trusted a complete goddamn stranger who owed me no type of loyalty, but assumed that she was safe or good or kind or whatever simply because she was a woman and a mother. And I just would assume that it was just my mom that was toxic and everybody else's mom was good, but that wasn't the case, you know? And I just, for so long, it didn't click. I didn't understand how much I wanted a family until I was a part of other people's families and they had a healthy dynamic and they had love and support and camaraderie for each other in a way that I never experienced. I didn't realize how much I was hurting about my father wound until I started fucking dating men that basically reminded me of my goddamn father. And it wasn't until I realized, okay, I'm traumatized and I'm trying to recreate the story. I'm trying to go down the same path and hopefully I can change the pattern and create something healthy this time and have the love that I didn't have and the support that I didn't have previously. So I kept fucking going into these bad fucking relationships thinking that that shit was going to change if I did this, if I did that, if I loved this way, if I tried this way, if I made this approach, if I didn't speak up, if I said this, or if I didn't do that. I literally tried to change everything about me to make something work out with people that I didn't even really want in my life, only because I was trying to change the narrative. because of the trauma that I experienced and that I never really healed from. And at the end of the day, I was just putting myself through more pain because I wasn't taking the time to heal. And so that's what I've been doing for a very long time, is radically trying to heal myself, because I'm tired of fucking going through the same goddamn patterns. I am sick of the same shit. I'm sick of going through the same shit. I am tired of being in the same cycle. Things have to fucking change, right? I have to fucking change. But it's not going to change if I keep trying to heal my wound through new connections. I have to do the work to heal the previous ones. And it hurts because, like, I found myself fucking triggered. You know, like, whenever I would see people make like little posts like, oh yeah, my parents love me. But that shit used to fucking trigger the shit out of me. That shit used to fuck with my head. Like, are you saying that shit like, you know, like trying to put down people who weren't loved? Like, I don't know. I used to take that shit personally. But it's not like a bad thing that other people were loved. You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I jealous? I've never been jealous on other shit ever. I always believe that what's for me is for me. So why am I jealous that other people have good relationships, supportive relationships with their parents? But that's because I had to raise myself. I never had support from my mother, my father, nothing. I don't even think that I was actually really loved by my parents at all, to be quite honest. So here I am, a person with all this love and never been poured into, and I was taught a pattern of pouring all my shit out of my cup to fill everybody else's and never getting nothing in return. And then that's what sparked me to become a people pleaser for so fucking long. And that's not healthy. That is not healthy. I was not in a healthy environment for a very, 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 very long time. I was in drug environment, alcoholism, abuse, sexual assault, all kind of violence, all kind of chaos, right? I'm in this type of life. And whenever I found myself in these tumultuous relationships, I couldn't understand why I keep getting into these crazy relationships with these people. And it's because that's all that I knew. The calm and steady and safe and supported and healthy shit wasn't appealing to me, because I didn't even know what the fuck I was going to do with no shit like that. And I was like, I'm unhealed. You know what I'm saying? I was unhealed, deeply unhealed. I made so many bad choices. And it was very hard for me to understand why I kept making bad choices, because in theory, I was very smart. I was always in the gifted classes. Everybody always kind of put that pressure on me, like, oh yeah, you're going to be the one. You're going to be the one. And here I was, the one, making these bad choices again and again and again and again and again. And I didn't have anybody to really help me to know how to make better ones, until I started going to fucking therapy. Until I started really making a choice to, like, sit down with myself and say, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why is this something that you keep doing, right? I had to really get real with myself and know that at the core of who I was, it was feeling like it was my fault that my parents didn't love me. I used to feel bad for being born just because my parents were so young, and all the things that they said that they did to sacrifice for me, and all the things that they threw in my face of being there for me in all these different things. It made me feel like, well, I clearly am a burden, and I'm clearly not wanted. So if I can make myself as small as possible and still leave an impact on these people's lives for the better, then maybe I won't be a burden. Maybe then I'll be accepted. Maybe then I'll be loved. And maybe then, I will feel like I'm worthy of being here. And I found myself in that pattern for so many, many years, just Anytime anybody ever did anything for me, it was so hard for me to just accept them giving it to me. I felt like I had to give them 10 times back what they gave me in order for us to be even. And that shit is unfucking fair to me. And so much fucking pressure I used to put on myself because I didn't think that I was worthy of love. Because no matter what I did, unless I was excelling and doing the absolute best and beating every single body, then I never got that kind of love or support or recognition. So it was just a deep, traumatic response to be successful. It was a traumatic response for me to push myself to be number one. Because if I was number 5 or number 10, even if it was out of 600 people, it didn't matter. It wasn't important. I should have been number 1. Even though no one else I knew could be close to that, couldn't even dream about being in the same ballpark, I let people who could never, ever, ever hold a candle to me make me feel like I was less than. And that's not, I ain't putting that all on me like in a bad sense, because I was a child and I was innocent and I shouldn't have had to be subjected to that. But being in that environment for so long, it definitely affected me to the point where I, for a long time, felt like I couldn't even make a mistake. Or if I made a mistake, it was so embarrassing for me to do so that it impacted literally my whole being to make a mistake and for someone to see that mistake. It was embarrassing. So I suffered in silence for a lot of shit that I didn't have to. But at the end of the day, I didn't feel safe to make a mistake. I didn't feel safe to ask for help and support if I couldn't do it on my own. And that shit is, again, it boils down to that's a deep wound, because even sometimes to this day, let me make a mistake, I feel really embarrassed and don't want nobody to see or to know that I did that, because I feel like I should do better, I should know better. But I'm a human, and to err is to be human. We're not perfect, we're gonna make mistakes, but for some reason I never was able to feel confident and comfortable to just be a human being, to just be a kid, to just be a teenager, to just be a woman, to just be able to relax, because every single area of my life, it wasn't safe to just be me. And so now that I am who I am and I'm in a position where I am safe to be that, it is quite a beautiful place to be in, and it does feel better and it does feel safe, but it is scary and it is something that I'm not used to, and it is something that affects me sometimes, even though I appreciate where I'm at now. And I'm trying my best as just a human being and as a mother to give my child that same space. But sometimes I find myself being hard on my kid because that's all that I know. But then I catch myself and I stop myself and I let my son know I am sorry and you are free to make a mistake, and it is okay to mess up, and it is okay. We'll fix it. We'll figure it out. We'll work it out together, because I was not given that same grace. And I have to actively work to make sure that I do extend that same grace to my child, and I don't raise him to be afraid of making the mistake or afraid of me and afraid of asking me for help and support, because that is exactly how I felt about my own family. So I just want to encourage anybody that has a mother wound, like, please do the work to heal it, because baby, that is a very deep, deep, deep psychological pain that will follow you into your relationships, your friendships, your working environment. It will affect you in multiple ways. Every single time a woman that I met who was older than me, who treated me coldly and meanly and callously, it, to me, hurt me in a way that I don't think it should have hurt me. I shouldn't have taken the shit personally, but I did, because I had unhealed mother wounds. And I used to get viscerally angry, just really frustrated and upset for a person being just them, because I used to feel like you was, attacking me or antagonizing me, and that's not them, that's me projecting on them, because I was looking for motherhood and love from people who I don't even know, people that I don't who don't owe me shit, you know what I'm saying? But I used to give love to every single person, so I felt like that's how I should be treated. But at the end of the day, you cannot love people into loving you back. It's just, that is not how that works. And I wish I knew that a long time ago. I wish I knew that you can't get people to love you and respect you by giving and giving and giving and giving until you're depleted. I wish I had known that. I wish I was able to realize sooner that forcing yourself to be the number one person to get the recognition and the props and the support and the love is only going to make you a very nervous adult, to, the point where making a mistake feels like you shot yourself in that damn foot. I set myself up for a horrible failure earlier on in my life because I set my sights on perfection, and that is not anything anybody can really do. It is what it is. So my mother wound has followed me. I'm 27 years old, and it was at 27 when I realized I needed to really do the work to heal it. I was at 27. And I mean, this is an active healing journey. This is something that's going to take a long time. I've been healing for years and didn't even realize to the effect that having a lack of maternal support really hit me in my spirit like that. I didn't even get it. But it is true. And it needs to be worked on, because I can't be making strangers my goddamn mom. I can't. But that is what happens when you are lost. When you are a lost one, you wander around and looking for someone to mother you. And I've been doing that for a long time, and I don't have to be lost no more. I got my ancestors. I don't need to be lost no more. I can trust myself to guide me, but I was not understanding that for a very long time. I just encourage anybody who has a mother wound to, like I said, to do some work, because when you lost, you might run into somebody cool. You might run into somebody that'll look out for you, but you may also very likely run into somebody that's looking to eat you up, like prey. You might be somebody that's looking to snatch you up, looking to, chew you up, spit you out. You know what I'm saying? And so especially if you grow up in a position where your parents were abusive towards you, when you mistake abuse for love, that's even scarier to be, because the scary signs, the warning signs that somebody's not good for you, those signals get mixed, and you could find yourself in a situation where you're constantly involving yourself with the wrong kind of people, because you don't even know what good and healthy looks like. So I encourage that, because I want to have healthy relationships. But I also know for me, I have to be healthy. I have to be something that I haven't been in a very long time. And really, I don't think I've ever really been able to be healthy, because it just wasn't safe for me in the environment that I've been in. So I'm working on allowing myself to have healthy communication styles, healthy emotional expression, and healthy expectations and boundaries with people, and to not place the burden of a stranger to mother me. Because that's not really fair. So I just that's all I have to say. But I wish you guys the best, and I hope that if you have a mother wound, you heal it. All right, have a good one. Bye.